The TDA, developing people, improving young lives.
This film explores the new technology at the heart of our lives, changing the way we write, record and present ourselves and the world around us.
Well, I think English teachers have to take account of new technologies. They have to think about ways in which their curriculum can be presented through digital media of one kind or another. But there are particular issues that relate to English, that new technologies imply new kinds of literacy that English needs to pay explicit attention to.
Blogging is really a very simple way of any kind of learner being able to put material onto the internet, be it text, be it sound, be it pictures, and allowing people to comment on it.
This is my MySpace, the screen I get when I first log in, and it's got all my friends on, and people can post bulletins which are messages to all of their friends, which you can read off here. And there's blogs up here, which are all just things like people put like pictures from holidays and things like that, or pictures of your friends, and then people can leave a comment on these blogs.
Because you don't have everyone's number, but lots of your friends have MySpace pages, so you can just talk to them and it's quicker to get hold of them.
Did you know 30.3% of young people have their own personal pages?
Me and my friend were messaging each other on MySpace parts of the essays we were writing for English, so we could check them and evaluate them and then send them back, and that was really useful.
On my page I have a blog, and I did that to kind of express what I was feeling, because me and my friends, we both put poems up. I think getting feedback from writing a poem helps me because it makes you more inspired to write another poem.
If you had an essay for English and you didn't know a lot, then you could just go on MySpace, and because there's loads of sites of famous people like Shakespeare, for example, then you'll be able to get more information, and it's easier than looking for ages on like Google or something like that.
I think this one's Richard III, and this is a page on Bebo which is made for my dance school. So a lot of people from my dance school have joined this, and we all talk to each other and we post like good luck notices, and if we have a dance exam then we'll tell like times, and we post pictures from dance competitions and just talk to each other because most of us don't go to the same school.
Did you know young people access the internet more at home than at school?
Children's media work has often been seen as media literacy, which, like print literacy, has reading and writing. So traditionally they've analysed the media.
If you have a site like Bebo or MySpace, it quite often requires you to have somewhere where your video is hosted. So if you put it on YouTube, you can then go to your Bebo and say, where do you want the video for your page to come from? And you type in the URL of the video and you can have it.
The advent of sites like YouTube allows them now to kind of distribute effectively and exhibit their own videos.
Blogging is, in its very basic form, is an online journal where someone writes their thoughts and they share those thoughts with other people. In an educational context, it allows young people to have a way of sharing their thoughts on learning, also sharing media, whether it's audio or video or pictures. Now that's developed into something called these social sites, like MySpace, where you can share all this stuff with other people. I mean, we started with MySpace, it went on to Bebo, went on to YouTube, it went on to Google Video, and they were all blocked within educational establishments, which I think is a shame. We do need to educate teachers and young children how these things can be used sensibly.
Blogging allows people to write creatively, and it also makes them think about who they're writing it for. They might write differently if they're writing for their friends, if they're writing for their teachers, if they're writing for people that know nothing about the subject. And the great advantage of blogging is it allows them to follow their interests. So if they're interested in one specific thing, they can write creatively or with passion about that particular interest.
What happens when students blog is they simply discover that the language and the meaning-making strategies that they have in that environment become available to them in the English classroom. And that can break down a lot of barriers. It can make them feel a whole lot more comfortable about the way in which they are trying to express themselves.
Did you know 97.1% of all young people aged 12 to 18 use the internet?
I talk to teachers and I say, do you know about MySpace? Do you know about YouTube? And they know nothing about it. I think teachers need to be encouraged to see the relevance of the technology and what's really useful, and see it not as something that's competing against the things we use traditionally in the classroom, but enhancing what we use in the classroom.
So an important part of the English curriculum is speaking and listening, and there's a bit of a push at the moment to kind of restore the importance of oracy. So we can think about that, how that relates to the internet. The kinds of language that young people use in SMS messaging on mobile phones or instant messaging is in fact a kind of speech like writing, and there's something interesting and rich there for English teachers to investigate and analyse with students.
The students begin to recognise that what they are doing in school can feed into what they're doing out of school, and that the two things actually play on the same strengths.
By 2020, a device the size of a mobile phone will be able to carry the amount of information in all the books that are in the British Library. The idea that we've got a camera with us all the time, it's forever in our pocket, that we can take photos whenever we want to, can make a fantastic difference in education.
It would be great if we could use mobile phones at school, because then you can record English lessons and you can get vital information, and you can look back at it and put it on your computer.
The mobile phone isn't just a phone. It's a device where the system knows where you're located, so it can get information to you which is pertinent to where you are. They all come with cameras these days. Most come with web browsers. A famous educational technologist called Alan Kay came up with a line that technology is that which was invented after you were born. And for many teachers, the mobile phone is still a novelty. However, it is not a novelty when you think that the penetration in the demographic of secondary school students is 95%. They probably own more mobile phones than they own radios, televisions, and computer consoles, that probably they actually own pencils.
Did you know that 6.3 million MP3 players were sold last year in the UK alone?
I have MP3 on my phone, and I can just attach the headphones and just listen to it without having to bring an MP3 to school.
I've used my MP3 player for school because, well, we had to do a PowerPoint presentation. My teacher said that we could do it on our MP3s because they can basically be just like a memory stick, really, and he just plugged it into his laptop and saved it onto his computer, and then he could mark it. It's quite good that you can bring files in on MP3s and things, because I have way more time at home to do things like that.
You can get certain things on your MP3s. You could probably download Shakespeare if you wanted to.
An iPod is an entertainment device first and foremost, and that's why they're so popular. So many children have them, and they just really, they work. I think that's the most important thing. However, we can sort of infiltrate their usage as an entertainment device for education by giving pupils, young people, access to learning objects. A learning object being some audio, some video, a PowerPoint presentation through an iPod, especially the new video iPods. They have really good screens on them. You can easily watch video on them, even teachers' TV, which is podcast.
Podcasting is where you download files or you subscribe to a website where it automatically downloads audio files each week. And a podcast can be a selection of music from a favourite artist, or you could go to a radio station website and download their podcast. So it could be a summary of the week through the best chart songs. You can subscribe to them via RSS feeds, and that means that it will come every week automatically to your computer without you asking, and then you transfer them to either your MP3 player or your PSP or any mobile way of playing sound.
In an education context, instead of saying to a young person, I want you to go home, log on to the school website, download this piece of audio, then transfer it to your MP3 player or listen to it on your computer, all that would be automated by this business of subscribing. And that's the beauty of it. You can actually almost force feed this stuff to them.
When you want to find a podcast on any topic, just go to Google, type in what you want, and it'll normally have it. The one I just found here is Hamlet, and as I'm doing Hamlet in English, it's really useful. It analyses all the key quotes in Hamlet, and it's all read by Sir Trevor McDonald, and I can download that in a really short time and put it on my iPod, and listen to it if my teacher lets me in class. And just by clicking on the link, you can listen to it straight away.
Imagine it was an English text. I saw a fantastic podcast, GCSE Revisions, the other day, where a teacher, just an ordinary teacher, had produced a whole series of enhanced podcasts where he had taken an audio track and enhanced it with images. He had also embedded some text, and he had also put little hyperlinks on it. So on his computer, you could say to the young people, OK, now that you've learnt about this or heard about this, follow this link to this resource online. So it's a really flexible format.
What the podcast allows them to do is to think about the message they're giving, again, but also about the different modalities that they're working in. So there's the oral component of the message, there's the visual component of the message. In which ways do these interrelate? How can one create interesting juxtapositions by using the modalities differently? It's very, very sophisticated stuff, and I think what's always interesting is that when we start introducing these skills to the class, the children are up for it in a way that they themselves often don't realise, and it's only at the end, when you're reflecting on what they've been doing, that they realise quite how hard they've been working.
I think our teachers do know about all the new technology, what we're using, but because they've banned so much of it, and we're not allowed to use any of it, so it doesn't really help.
It's kind of all shown in a really sort of bad way. They just look at it as, oh gosh, they're sending text, they will not know how to spell, and just think that it's going to distract us from our work rather than help us.
That's because they just don't know. They're not educated themselves. And we actually, on this matter, know more than they know, but they're not helping themselves at all.
Teachers are really crucial in this whole learning process, and they have to be there as a guide to these young people who are using these devices. I'd hate to see them being left behind.
I think teachers should embrace this technology fully. Their students are happy with it, and actually having students happy to start off with makes for a positive learning environment. But secondly, the power that it enables people to have knowledge at their fingertips, creativity at their fingertips, recording at their fingertips, replaying at their fingertips, sharing at their fingertips, with very, very tiny, low-cost, ubiquitous devices. It's just got to transform the way that we learn in the same way as the printing press did.
I think that what's not up for debate anymore, and what is really evident, is that if you include in class and in their school experience the kind of energy that students are using in their media usage outside of school, then you can do a tremendous amount of good for their work in school. So the idea that media somehow detracts from the literacies that they're developing in school no longer holds water, I think. You just have to accept that students are learning to express themselves in different ways.
When English teachers decide what to invest their time in, or what they need to focus on, or how they need to prioritise the way they build the internet or online cultures into the English curriculum, it might be worth thinking about a distinction between ephemeral cultural forms and durable cultural forms.
And the only certainty is that whatever technology you go for now, it'll be out of date within 6 months. So it's very hard to say what's going to happen in the future.